Learn to own your mistakes. If you can learn to own your mistakes and take full ownership of them, your life is going to completely change. There's a thunderstorm outside. I was working on this interview. I am scared. I'm not scared. I'm like, I have this like feeling like, dude, if my computer shuts off, like I haven't gotten this episode out, and it's sort of the lack mentality. Like we need to get this episode out. I told this person this interview would come out. And, in all honesty, there's a lot going on in my life, and I have made some mistakes. And there's been times where I've had to be like, hey, I made this mistake. Like even recently, like this really great interview. I was so excited to get it out. And I don't know if you can hear the thunder, but like I was excited to get this interview out, and it was like a Zoom thing. And I guess, there was like the recording that was made when I first jumped in the interview. And then there was the recording that was made when the person jumped in. And so those are two different recordings, and neither of them had been converted yet because I guess I just didn't do that at the time. I just kind of put it off, and then I converted the wrong file. So I converted this 3-minute file of just me by myself. And granted, this was right before going over to my sister's like birthday party thing, and so I had to give myself grace for that. There was no other way. There was no other way. I couldn't do anything else. I even wrote a poem about this feeling, and it was called Accept It, and I'll have a link in the show notes. And this has been one of the most beautiful things I've been able to learn from myself, is just to, in the moment when that thing happens, to accept it and be like, well, this happened, and I'm going to own this, and I'm going to be all right with this, because we can't change anything. We can't go back in time and anything like that, and it's all good. I know there's some program, actually, it's kind of funny thinking about it now, there's some program that lets you like bring up an old version of your desktop, but it's like, I don't even know how to do that, and that sounds like that could create other struggles and difficulties. But I reached out to the person that this really amazing interview, like super good interview, super excited to get it out, and I just never got it out, whether it's perfectionism or whatever, and I never clicked the convert thing, and then when I did, there was these two little files. I didn't know it was going to overwrite the other one. He was so chill about it. He's like, bro, we are chill, we are good. And it sounds corny, but this sort of reminds me of my relationship with God and with other people that I care about, and just like, I don't know, anybody that that I care about, or that, I don't know. All I'm saying is like, own your mistake, man. Like, own your mistake. Like, you don't need to make the mistake and then let yourself go down this rabbit hole of emotion and feeling and like, oh no, worst case scenario. I saw this video on Instagram, and I usually wouldn't be on Instagram, but I was on Instagram because I'd made some posts, and I also made a story on there pretty recently about some stuff, kind of more on the spiritual end. So follow me on Instagram if you're into that. But it showed this duck, and this duck was walking around this pool, and the caption on the reel thing said, when your anxiety is off the charts and makes a big deal out of everything, and it makes it way worse. And it showed this duck falling into this pool, and then it like completely goes nuts, and it like falls in the pool, and it like makes the biggest scene in the world. But what I was able to do with this episode, and with some other episodes in my life recently, just to be like, it happened. I accept it. It's okay. It's okay. Because we're not going to throw myself out of the picture. Like, self-love and like the self-compassion piece, this message. I talked about this with somebody in this interview I did today that I'm excited to get out whenever it gets out, I'm getting better at this. Like, I'm figuring it out. Like, it's okay. I'm learning things. And that was the biggest flash of lightning. I'm just praying, dude. I'm just praying this doesn't go down. But it's beautiful. It's like, this is all part of the journey. And I'm going to get the interview out tomorrow, and it'll be completely okay. It's like, there's no point in making such a big deal when I can learn from this. I can own my mistake. The truth is, I have a lot going on in my life right now. I have a lot on my mind. I'm moving out of my parents' house in a week. There's a potential job offer that came up out of literally nowhere. I have a friend that I haven't seen in 2 years that got in with this great company, and they asked him if there's anybody he wanted to refer, and he referred me. And I haven't talked to this guy in 2 years. And if that's not an advocate, like if that's not proof that like people remember when you're kind to them and they remember when you're good to them, I don't know what is. Like I might get a position at this company and then I could work from home and do my other stuff. Like that would be so bonkers and amazing, and like I don't even know, it'd just be so beautiful. And it sounds like a pretty good gig, you know? But it's like I need to be patient with myself because that is not here right now. It's not. And I can't do anything to make that happen quicker. I have this beautiful preparation period. And it makes me think of basketball players and they get to prepare and stuff. And, you know, the thing is that all this preparation is going to pay off. And so where does this go back to, like owning your mistake? I think a lot of it is to be honest with yourself. When I failed my accounting class, I had to accept that there was a lot of times where I did not study for the classes I did. I literally fell asleep a couple times because I went to a couple Zoom tutoring sessions, and this is real. I was so drained with just overall life and stuff that I literally fell asleep in these Zoom recordings, you know, or not recordings, these Zoom meetings I had with this tutor, and it was crazy, you know. And so you're able to take everything you learn from that and to choose differently next time. And that's like one of the beautiful things about life, you know, because later I was able to do really well in the accounting class, and I took the class in person instead of online, and, you know, yada, yada, yada. And it was beautiful. So I've seen this happen multiple times in my life where I learned from the mistake and then a similar thing comes up and I'm like, yes, I get to choose differently now. You know, I get to choose differently now because I learned from this. And this is so beautiful. And I'm going to own this moment. I'm going to be so thankful for this because I felt the pain of making this mistake before. And it's remembrance, it's accepting, it's beauty, it's all these things. And it's like, why are we doing this episode? A lot of it is so this part of myself can be heard. I mean, I know I said I'm not going to do another episode with an interview. Well, I'm just going to do a bunch of interviews back to back, and I'm still going to do that. But at the same time, I'm going to listen to myself and be patient with myself and not mute myself when I want to speak. You know, I still need to do 75 hard the rest of the day. You know, I still need to drink another half gallon of water. And to do that, I saw, because like it's beautiful when you can ask yourself like, okay, what can I do? How can I make this work? Because earlier today, after seeing that duck on Instagram, it was easy to just kind of bounce around the sort of the dopamine wheel, kind of just like spinning the wheel and stuff, and, you know, wanting somebody to message you back or whatever, you know. And these things that just, I can't hurry along. And so I just need to go so deep on not just loving myself, but loving the process and remembering these things about myself I want to remember, because those things can literally lift you up to new heights and take you to those places that you need to go. And I really, so much of this has to do, at least for me, being primarily a feeling person, as I've really learned. You know, ever since that interview I had with Brady, and that was a great interview, it really opened my mind to like, oh shoot, I am very much a feeling person first, and that's very valuable to know about oneself. You know, I've gotten to understand that I need to be in a good feeling. I need to have a good mode of like being, you know, and I have a lot of control over that. And there's a lot of power I have, and I've gained power from discipline and from focus and all these things. And I don't want to throw any of that beautiful stuff away. I really don't. And so the takeaway, because we need to wrap this up, because I've literally rambled, and I don't even know how valuable this was at all, because that's really all this kind of was a ramble. But when you do make a mistake, the next time you make some kind of mistake, you get to choose how you will respond. There's no guarantee of anything. You think of like any consequence, really. Like, obviously, the more severe the mistake, the more severe the consequence. However, you'd be surprised how often when you share those things early with people, how it can make things a lot better. You can understand things, because sometimes we over dramatize it in our head, and we don't realize that if we go to the help, whatever help we've been provided with, like if it's a class, like a teacher or something like that, or if it's a marriage, you could talk to your spouse or something, those things can really help open up the conversation. And so these are opportunities for greater empathy and understand. And we could go deeper into this, but I don't think we really need to. It's like, it's just beautiful. Owning your mistakes, not letting them own you, and moving forward is a beautiful thing. And this is me. This is what we did. We hurt ourselves, and we heard. It's so interesting how heard and hurt like sounds so similar, but there's a lot of beautiful things happening. I don't want to get in the way of any of it. Like this job coming up out of nowhere, all the interviews I've done recently, there's a lot of really, really beautiful things happening, and I don't want to get in my own way ever again and be like, oh, Dallin, I'm not going to let you do that, or we're going to stress ourselves out about this interview. Like there's literally times in college where I would stay up like till like 1 or 2 a.m. sometimes to edit an interview to get it out, quote unquote, on time. And this podcast has really helped me to improve the conversations I have with myself and with others, and just to better understand and appreciate and celebrate and overall just the journey, man. So yeah, these were some quick thoughts that were on my mind, and not going to delete them. It's interesting in this moment, I'm like, this was like such a lame recording. It's like we didn't really tell any deep stories or anything. It's just this is me. This is here. This is what's on my mind. And there's a lot of beautiful things happening. Like if you go back, it's like clearly there's some beautiful things happening. Like I've been accepting more. I've been loving more. I've just been giving more. And okay, this is the last thing that I'll share. It's just really beautiful when we make that mistake, that we remember love. We remember that love still exists, that love is still a thing, and that love can be restored. That love, like God's love for you, is infinite and it's real, and it's as bright in your darkest night as it is in the brightest lights you could possibly imagine. It's always there. It's always alive. It's always a light. It's always burning. And so it's beautiful when we can turn to love. We can turn to somebody who loves us. We can remember somebody who loves us. We can do something. We can remember that we care about ourselves, that we are in this long game with ourselves. And maybe this is the part I need to hear. It's like, we're in this long game with ourselves. We care about ourselves. We're not going to give up on ourselves. We're not going to throw trash at ourselves. That's a big one, is I've sort of made that commitment. It's like, I'm not going to beat up Dallin anymore. I'm just done with that. He's taken way too much of that. And now that so many beautiful things have happened, it's like I'm in a way different spot than I was last year, and it's crazy. And my life feels like a dream, but on the opposite side of the spectrum. Like last year, like some days I wake up and it's felt like this nightmare. I'm not even kidding you. But like today, it just feels like this dream. Like I'm talking to people, like resonating right off the bat. I talked to this really wonderful group of ladies, this wonderful black lady and her grandma, and it was like grandma and then her sister, and it's just such a beautiful, wonderful conversation. I just felt so much love for them. We got to pray together, and I was like, dude, this is life. Like, this is beautiful stuff. Like, there's obviously pain, but I look at like how far I've come, and a lot of it over the last couple months has just been admitting mistakes. Like, Dallin, I know you tried that, and we didn't make it. And dude, that's completely okay, because I'm so on board with you. I'm on board with you here. I'm not jumping off. And I know I've talked about this on the podcast before. It's like, I'm here for you. It's the Until Not One Trace of Hope Remains book bits thing from a little while ago. It's that I'm here for you. I'm not moving from my place. I'm still going to help you out. So yeah, when we make mistakes, I think there's the temptation to throw self-love out the window, to forget that love is even a thing, to forget that love includes courage, forgiveness, all these other things. And there's obviously more we could go into, but I think we've gone where we needed to go with this. It's beautiful, and we can understand, we can hear the inner child be like, I made this mistake, I'm sorry, I want to try again. And we can give ourselves that chance. And I've been doing that a lot, and it's led to a lot of growth. It's led to a lot of beautiful new understanding, it's led to a lot of other beautiful things. So give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace, you know. Own your mistakes. Love yourself in this moment, whatever that looks like. And yeah, just take care of yourself, because this is a long game thing for sure. So hopefully this was helpful in some way. It was helpful and therapeutic for me in a way. We'll get that interview out tomorrow. It's going to be okay. I'm going to get some good sleep tonight. It's going to be all right. It's going to be good. Like, tomorrow is a beautiful day. It's beautiful. It's going to be great. I'm excited. So thank you for listening. And yeah, check out links in the show notes for the Discord server. It's completely free. I just want to help out people, and yeah, I'm in this for the long game with you guys. So thank you for listening. Don't forget to yield to the good. It'll be better tomorrow.